Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Taking care of business.
You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, big old Happy New Year to ya. Back in the saddle, as they say, from the Loft 100 Studios, sunny Southern California. Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, Sully.
And let us not forget the DTT, the Day Trader Trio's with us today.
Best in the business.
You guys have a good New Year? Yeah?
Absolutely.
That is, with me there, we have 40% of Sullivan.
Yes.
And we got some exciting news about tours this year.
I know. The poster, the lineup for the Beach Life Festival is out now.
When is that, May, March?
May 2nd is when Sullivan's performing the same.
With
Shut
Lenny
the front
Kravitz.
door.
Lenny
Really?
Kravitz
Ooh.
and Diggable Planets.
Diggable
for
Planets?
the old school.
No way.
Yes. It's a really great
311?
lineup.
I am in.
311?
311. You know, Nick Hexum was at the Christmas party. Did you meet him?
No.
He was at the house Christmas party.
I fell
Nick
into
Hexum,
the
the lead
vineyard
singer.
like an hour in. I was so hammered, I just fell over your bank and
Yep.
crushed a bunch of wine.
Just got back, but we're very excited. Had a discussion with Rome, who had played his last show with Sublime. He's out of his contract after 25 years and now going on tour. And guess who may be?
Hello.
So you guys want to pitch in for your own flights and stuff, but we may be going on tour. So as we are into our second program of the new year, we'll get to Howie in a second. But two things. Did you do New Year's goals, resolutions this year?
I did not.
You didn't? Do you
Isn't that
normally?
funny? Sometimes I do. Yeah.
What about you, Mary? Do you?
I did not. There's too much
By the
going
way,
on in my
congratulations
life.
on 9 years
Hey,
of sobriety.
Thank you very
you.
much.
Wow. Yeah.
January 1, 9 consecutive.
Because Mike's been sober for what, 70 days?
9 minutes.
Not in a row.
Non-consecutive.
No,
Total.
exactly.
Oh, mine is
Exactly.
Did you? So did you make?
I did.
What did you do? Well, none of our business.
No. I have written a children's book, and
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Awesome.
And I, in the process of now trying to get it published.
What is it called?
Big Blue Lou.
Big Blue
It's
Lou.
about a big blue rhinoceros who doesn't fit in.
I had no idea that you had that sort of creativity in you.
It's
You just
been
thought you were Funyun eating bacon bits, dipping mayo.
99.9% of the time I am, but there's those moments of clarity where you're like, wait, I've got a story to tell.
So what's the premise?
It's about a big blue rhino he's born the wrong color, and he thinks that he's going to be alone the rest of his life, and then he goes about the jungles in Africa, and he finds other animals who are also born the wrong color.
So it's part of your New Year's goals is
To get it published, yes.
What's his name?
I think I
Big
can
Blue
help you with
Lou?
Big Blue Lou.
Love
I like
it.
I can
that.
help you with that.
Love it.
I know you
Yes.
I think Chris Castillo, one of our producers here, is probably looking at Blue Rhino as the car care company who's going to be suing Mike about or trademark. They're big purple blue.
They're actually a propane company.
That's what it is. Blue Rhino's propane company.
That's funny.
It's interesting how Mike names the thing after a gas company.
It's about a rhino that had gas.
I put down. This is both inspiring to me and sad to me, because I put down goals every year. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I tend to complete all of them every single year. And every year, here's the sad part. I mean, I get all my stuff. Literally, I make realistic goals. Okay. The problem is I have the same goal, the one I didn't get. This goes back to 2019.
Little carryover.
Yep.
Can you tell us what it is?
It's a tough one.
Yes, it is kite surfing.
Ooh.
Oh.
So, Greg and I enjoy surfing, and are going to take a couple of trips this year, not only to Zihuatanejo, to Cabo, and to potentially, if I could get him, he will never go to Dubai, but there's a surf ranch in Dubai. But we are going to Palm Springs, and we should all go together. But kite surfing, so I was a competitive sailor for a long time. I've sailed to Hawaii twice.
Same thing.
Wow.
I would like to learn, because I know that I would like to learn to use that.
Yeah.
It looks
Parachute.
super fun,
Doesn't
but
it?
it just looks complicated.
Complicated.
There's lots of wires.
There's a lot, exactly. That's my point. Yep.
This program brought to you by Blue Rhino Propane. Also, look for Big Blue Rhino U.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, our affiliates, and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any persons, or that investment in such securities would be profitable in general.
Given the nature of our company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for their securities, and investing is highly speculative and carries a high degree of risk. We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its host for the profile coverage.
3, 2, 1. From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stock if we are speaking about, interviewing, or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully. Duh.
And read the investor information available on the website.
On the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, at www.sec.gov.
Or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
Who wants to play in the NFL?
I began to imagine a life in the NFL.
Listen, you guys ain't spent much time in the NFL.
The NFL's only get harder and faster.
Floating one downfield for Kittle. He's got it! Touchdown, San Francisco!
Today, the NFL is a powerhouse, a league that rakes in over $18 billion annually, with the Super Bowl alone generating nearly $500 million in revenue. Broadcast rights, a staggering $100 billion deal over 11 years. And team valuations, well, the Dallas Cowboys alone are worth over $9 billion. The National Football League has grown into a sports empire unlike anything before it. But how did all of it start? How did a scrappy, chaotic league of semi-professional teams transform into one of the most profitable organizations in the world? Join us on this mini Bizumentary special as we find out the origins of a sports business empire. August 20th, 1920. In the small city of Akron, Ohio, a group of men gathered in the back room of a Humpmobile dealership. But these weren't ordinary businessmen. They were the owners of football teams representing the Akron Pros, the Canton Bulldogs, the Cleveland Indians, and the Dayton Triangles. On the surface, it may have looked like a casual meeting among sportsmen, but this was a critical moment in American sports history. These four team owners weren't just there to talk football. They were there to talk business. They knew that football, as chaotic and disorganized as it was, had the potential to become something bigger, a legitimate national sport that could rival the popularity of college football and even baseball at the time. The turning point? Well, the first NFL championship game in 1933. You see, in the early 1930s, football was still the underdog in American sports. College football ruled Saturdays. Baseball was America's pastime. The NFL, despite its 1922 rebranding, was struggling for legitimacy. To most Americans, football was a college game. The NFL hadn't yet made its mark, but that changed in 1933 with the league's first true championship game, an event designed to capture the nation's attention. The Chicago Bears, led by George Halas, faced the New York Giants in a battle that was about more than just a trophy. It was about proving that professional football could stand alongside baseball and college football. This was the NFL's first national showcase. The game was a thriller. The Bears edged out the Giants 23-21 in front of an energized crowd. But beyond the score, the real winner that day was the NFL itself. The game wasn't just competitive, it was a spectacle. With roughly 26,000 fans in attendance at Wrigley Field, ticket sales surged far beyond the league's regular season averages. It proved that the fans were willing to pay to see the best battle it out. The NFL had finally arrived. But the story doesn't end there. The NFL and the sports business in general were in for a game changer: television. The NFL was still finding its way even after its success in establishing itself as a serious professional sport, especially in terms of national attention. The key to that growth? Broadcast television. In the 1915s, television was just beginning to find its place in American homes. The NFL, realizing the potential of this new medium, made its first moves into televised broadcasts. These early games were a bit rough around the edges, just a couple of cameras, no instant replay, and far from the slick productions we see today. But they captured something: football's intensity, its drama, and its ability to hold an audience. By the early 1960s, NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle had a vision. He wanted to turn professional football into a national event, and television was the ticket. In 1961, Rozelle negotiated the league's first national television contract with CBS, a $4.65 million deal. That's about $50 million by today's money.
The first big problem involved television because all the clubs were negotiating their own contracts. And so we were competing with ourselves. And some clubs were going to lose out on television altogether. So we had to find a way of pooling television, selling it in a package so that everyone could, get a good amount of money.
For the first time, fans across the country could watch their favorite teams battle it out, no matter where they lived. Television didn't just bring football to new audiences, it created a shared experience, capturing the sport in a way that newspapers and radio couldn't. But football's journey to television dominance didn't stop there. As the NFL grew, so did its ambitions. In 1966, the AFL-NFL merger set the stage for the creation of the Super Bowl.
Again, everyone, from the Coliseum in Los Angeles, and this is it, the American Football League National Football League Championship. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Green Bay Packers, who have won the NFL Championship 4 times in the last 6 years.
The first AFL-NFL Championship, as I stated, commonly referred to as Super Bowl I, was broadcast by both CBS and NBC, and it marked the beginning of a new era, combining sports and entertainment on an unprecedented scale. Super Bowl I wasn't just a football game, it was an event. And it wasn't just watched by fans in stadiums. Millions of people tuned in from their homes, making it the most watched event in television history at that time. It set the stage for the modern NFL and turned the Super Bowl into an annual cultural phenomenon. From those humble beginnings, the NFL learned to harness the power of television. Today, football dominates the airwaves, with the Super Bowl becoming the most watched television event in the world.
Super Bowl 58 was the most watched television event in more than 50 years. 123.4 million viewers. That's TV's biggest audience since the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969.
Television turned the NFL into a national sensation, but the media landscape never stops changing. In today's digital world, the way people consume sports has shifted dramatically. The NFL, always ahead of the curve, is adapting once again. This time to the rise of new media, social platforms, and streaming technology. And the league knows one thing: to stay on top, you have to meet the fans where they are. Today's fans don't just watch the game on TV, they interact with it in real time. Whether it's a viral clip of a jaw-dropping play on TikTok or live tweeting the action as it unfolds, fans want instant access, constant engagement, and a more personal connection with the game. The NFL has become as much a digital experience as it is a live event. And this new media revolution isn't just keeping American fans engaged, it's expanding the NFL's reach across the globe. What was once a regional sport, then a national pastime, is now a worldwide spectacle.
But of course, today is an historic day in the National Football League. For the first time, a regular season game will be played in Europe. It's the New York Giants against the Miami Dolphins, live from London.
Quite an atmosphere indeed.
International games are being live streamed in real time, allowing fans from London to Mexico City to Tokyo to experience the NFL like never before. As technology continues to evolve, the NFL is already looking ahead. Virtual reality, augmented reality, and AI-driven stats are becoming part of the fan experience. Imagine stepping into the shoes of a quarterback through VR or receiving personalized game analysis delivered directly to your device, tailored to your favorite team. It's not just a sports organization, it's a media empire. And as technology continues to evolve, one thing is certain: the NFL will be there, leading the charge into the future. Hi everybody, it's Mike Costa, and welcome to another Business Spotlight. And joining me today, an 11-year veteran of the National Football League. He's an All-Pro. He's a Super Bowl champion, and he is now the co-founder of Praxis Elite Sports Academy Junior Prep. Mr. Nick Barnett is with me today. Nick, always great to see you.
Yes, sir.
How have you been?
Good. Grinding.
Okay, you talk about grinding, and there's so much I want to get into with you today on the show. But you know, normally in the course of an interview, especially professional athletes, former professional athletes, the interviewer will start by talking about your career and the sport and stuff. And at the end of it, talk about why you're really here. We're going to turn the tables a little bit in today's interview. I have plenty of NFL questions, but most importantly, let's talk about Praxis and the genesis of it and how you became the co-founder of it.
Oh man, Praxis has arrived because we were looking for a place to put our child, right? We have a student athlete who is looking to, a smart kid that is really high on his education, but high on his sports as well, looking for a place to compete with other athletes that are looking to do the same thing. There are a couple places, but not enough. So we created one for San Diego County, and we've been, this is our second year in it, and we've been having great results and having a great time doing it.
How many kids did you have in your very, very first class?
We had 3. It's so awesome looking back at the pictures. You're like, dang. But, we were excited. You thought we had 30 kids.
Nice.
The 3 kids we had were ready to work, ready to grind, ready to be really serious about their education. And it shows what they're doing now in school. We get progress reports from all of our kids, even when they go to high school, to make sure that we're still there and still watching them.
So if people don't know, as far as Praxis is concerned, it's 6th graders to 8th graders, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, and you're getting them ready for that next step, which is high school. When parents come to you and ask you, what's a normal day going to be like for their child? What are they going to be doing? Explain to us what a kid goes through on any given day at Praxis.
Depends on the day of the week, but let's just say today's Monday. We first get there early in the morning. We're doing a strength and conditioning program that's built for each player and is tailored to them. We grind for about an hour and a half some days. It's not a grind, I'll tell you, they love doing this. So
sure.
But it is a grind, right? Yeah. You got to get better. When our kids are done, their endorphins are going, so they're ready to start school. We get into school, we have school period for the next 2 periods, then we hit lunch. And then for our afternoon workout, it's a sports-specific workout.
Okay.
So, if you play lacrosse, we're out on the field with the stick, hitting against the wall, or whatever, doing agility drills. We do speed training, whatever it is to help you get better at your sport. We're doing that very sports-specific for them. Then we're back in the classroom, and then we finish out the day, and then it's done. This is not something new we invented.
Yeah.
Olympic athletes, kids have been training, doing this for a very long time.
Sure.
We're just giving an environment for all of them to do it together.
Nick Barnett, former Green Bay Packer, former Oregon State Beaver, with us here during the Business Spotlight. When you talk about, what I would assume from a 30,000 foot view is an immersive program for a kid. as they say, idle hands, you never want the devil, and idle hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But this sounds like pretty much from the word get-go until they go home, they're involved in something.
They're involved in stuff from the get-go. We have phone prison for guys. I mean, we have to.
I love it.
We have a small window of opportunity to get better and excel and elevate these kids, right? And anytime that's not, that we have free, it's all gone because we've got to fit in academics. We have to fit in, our athletics and everything in there. So we put those phones in the prison, lock the key, and we're off to work. And then once we get lunch, they can have it, that kind of stuff. So it's a different mindset because we are taking away so much time that we have to be very efficient with the time that we do have.
Do you have a substance abuse counselor that's on hand as the kids go through withdrawals?
Oh, yeah,
from not having that telephone in their face?
Gosh. You should have seen the first week. It was very hard. There was withdrawal. There was pouting. There was all kinds of stuff going on. Now they volunteer their phones for the prison.
Gotcha.
So they're like, all right, here, take it.
I love it.
But it's crazy.
When kids first come to you, and their parents enroll them or their guardians, whoever it is who are taking care of them, enroll them in the school. What's it like as one of the founders to watch them go from that first day in 6th grade all the way to that last day in 8th grade where you've had this lump of clay, so to speak, that you've been able to help mold, I'm sure with a lot of other people, and then to kind of launch them into the high school of their choice. What's that feeling like?
I can tell you that all my coaches and everybody that works at Praxis, that's like our biggest enjoyment. It's just watching our guys succeed. Hopefully we'll have girls too soon, but we've only had boys so far, and just seeing them excel. We've seen people come in and, they've been not getting the right proper treatment or time in a regular school, and they came to our school and they've excelled. And we're so happy about that, and just because we were there for that family and there for those kids. So we're excited about that. Each kid that enrolls there, we treat them like they're our kids, and we do, and we still take progress reports on the kids that have made it to high school, that are doing great jobs, great things, and the ones that are having trouble, we're still here for them and help them through whatever they're going through. So this is a family, as much as it is a school and an academy. We treat it as a family, and how we think a family should be, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're just making sure we're there to support them.
Now, you're the head coach at Del Norte High School, head of the football program there. Is word starting to get around, and I'm going to stick with football, but you've got athletes from all disciplines going to Praxis, but is word starting to get around like, hey, you got to get yourself a Praxis kid. You want these players in your school, going to school. You want them on your team.
I'm tell you what, I would love to have all the kids that I had at Praxis.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. Yeah.
But not unfortunately. I think families live in different areas. Families need different things, and just as we stand up and we want families to have the opportunity to come to Praxis, we want families to have the choice of where they send their kids to as well.
Gotcha.
And yes, as a coach, I would love to have all of them. And I'm hoping the word gets around that our kids are good kids, that are coachable kids, that are serious about education, and they're going to be good, leaders on the field and off the court, right? Or field or court, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Now, as you're a couple years into this now, as far as the word of mouth, is it? Are you still trying to get the word out there? Are you still, obviously you always have to market. It doesn't matter how big and popular you are, you always have to keep the word out there. But are you sensing, as you grow as an institution, more eyes and ears are on you?
I do believe so. I think because we're having results with the families that we have, that came through our halls. Yeah. And I think more families are looking for more opportunities for different, alternative learning environments. So with that, we're hoping to be one of the top ones that is out there for your choice if you have a student athlete. Even if your student is not an athlete and just wants to learn how to work out and get in better shape, we're the place for that.
He is Nick Barnett, the co-founder of the Praxis Elite Sports Academy, the junior prep here in San Diego, doing great things with these young people, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And on the other side, we're going to talk about that NFL Combine, which I had mentioned. We're also going to talk about funding for his school and how you could possibly get involved as well. right after this as the Business Spotlight continues. Welcome back to the Business Spotlight. Nick Barnett is our guest, 11-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champion, the head of the Praxis Elite Sports Academy Junior Prep here in San Diego, also the head coach of Del Norte High School football program. Nick, in talking about your academy for sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders, as we all know, especially in today's society, money does not grow on trees. I've got a 22-year-old who I have to take out to the back and show him the money tree's not blooming right now.
I wish I could find it. I wish I could find that tree.
We've got to be smart here. Talk about, though, the financials involved with your school, fundraising, money, and I mean what it takes to keep Praxis feet on the ground and going.
I mean, it takes a lot. Obviously, education is not cheap.
No.
And if we're doing individualized learning and catering athletically to our athletes, we obviously need money to be able to fund that, to get coaches, to get programs, to get curriculum. It's crazy. Like when I went to school, I didn't think about how much curriculum costs, but it's not cheap.
Sure.
So we have to work that out. We've done a great job of kind of grassrooting, growing it, expanding as we grow.
Okay.
And now we're kind of at that point where, we're either going to look for lenders or we're doing some 501s. We're trying to get students that don't have necessarily the means to get into our school.
Gotcha.
We're trying to get them to our school. We think that parents and no matter how much money they have or they don't have should have an opportunity for this.
Of course.
I wish I would have had this growing up, or some of the kids that I know that would have had this growing up, they would have been able to do the things they wanted to do.
Sure.
Right. So we're looking for that. We have we just got a 501 a fiscal sponsor. So now we're gonna start some fundraising to do that. And so I'll send you that information.
Please do. Absolutely.
We'd love to open up your paycheck, your wallet for us. I know you got that big no, but we're looking for that. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to get some kids into our school.
Right. As you go out into the community and for lack of a better term, fundraise, once you start explaining exactly what Praxis is all about, I'm curious, what's the response from people? Are they more apt to quickly open that checkbook, or is it a wait and see?
I think, I've done it just a little bit recently, and I've had some very eager sponsors that wanted to be involved. I think what we're doing for kids and in the community and while we're there, I think a lot of times, when I was growing up, when I was getting those big paychecks, right?
Sure.
When I was in the league, I was getting people that wanted money, but we didn't really know what they were doing with it,
unfortunately.
So I think this is an opportunity for people that want to give and see where their money goes and how it affects our, the kids that go to our school. This is a great one.
Yeah.
You're going to see a dramatic improvement on, kids and opportunities for kids to play, kids education, and whatever, and being community leaders. We do a lot of community service and things of that nature for our community. So.
You know what it takes to get to the very top of the peak as a Super Bowl champion, and there's luck involved. You got to stay free of injury. There's just sometimes, as we always say, the ball bounces in funny ways, and a lot of the times you look back on a season after you get your ring and you think, well, the ball bounced our way, but you have a plan, and everyone's got to buy into that plan. How much of that, as a Super Bowl champion and NFL veteran of 11 years, do you apply to what you're doing with Praxis Elite?
I think everything. To be able to get to that place and that pinnacle of, not even a Super Bowl, just to be able to get to a college scholarship, right? You have to apply everything possible that you've learned from the leaders that have been trying to teach you how to be dedicated, how to be committed, how to be resilient, how to push through things. I think if we're an employer and we're looking for employees, those are the kind of attributes I'm looking for, right?
Of course.
So I try to use that and teach that to our kids. And I have other coaches that are on my staff and my co-founder. We're all about that. We're about every element you can teach for leadership and that kind of stuff that's got us to the point where we are now, right? The problem with, since we're talking about the NFL, that is a great dream to have. It is, for me, that was everything. But the odds, if you're looking at it, is very, very, very slim, right? So, but all we can do is control the controllables as we're grinding.
Okay.
Our effort, our attitude, the things that we do, the work that we put in. Do you feel tired that day? I don't care. You get up and you put in the work. You get in that book. You make sure you have the grades, because if you don't have the grades, you lose that opportunity. You don't have a chance to see that, right? So everything that you're supposed to do, everything you have to do, you do that. And as you get through that, that becomes a habit. Right, we practice good habits and we stack them.
Yep.
And maybe you don't go to the NFL, but with those habits that you created and the things that you're doing, you're gonna do something big, and people are gonna want you around, because that's the kind of people that we want. Yeah.
Nick Barnett is the co-founder of Praxis Elite Sports Academy Junior Prep here in San Diego. When you're trying to drill that into someone who's in 6th grade or 7th grade, and these are very important formative years, not only somebody in a family, but somebody in their school family, the team aspect as well. How tough is it to get them to balance, to hit the balance between the textbook and the playbook?
It's, our kids, we're lucky because we get kids that want to be involved. They come to our school because they're already serious about what we're doing, right?
Okay.
They're already actively grinding, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, because they're kids, right? We can easily get distracted of what we do. But I think the biggest thing is that as a leader, as a father, as a teacher, as a coach, is consistency. If you stay consistent with teaching that message, staying on top of our kids, and bringing it in a positive, uplifting beat where they're excited to hear about it, right? And that energy, I think, for me, when I was a kid, I got that kind of energy sooner than someone saying,
exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So we coach our coaches and our teachers to be more positive and uplifting, but stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay on top of them. And I think our kids are starting to grasp that. They have been grasping it, but they're kids, right? So we got to be consistent. Our parents are very involved in our school, right? We do a once a month Friday meeting with great speakers and counselors, so that we're all on the same page and we're building great habits as leaders.
What was your last year in the NFL?
Dang, man, don't date me back, man. I'm just kidding. 2014.
Okay, so the kids that are in your school, they know Mr. Barnett is the co-founder, more as the co-founder of Praxis Elite. Obviously, their parents, if they're football fans or know anything, about the NFL, they know who Nick Barnett, the Oregon State Beaver, the Green Bay Packer, is. So when you're talking, do these kids, Mr. Barnett, tell us about when you played in the NFL, tell us about that. Does it register with them? Or are you more the administrator of what is an incredible place for them to be every day?
I think a little bit of both. The great thing about this day and age now is that they have internet, right? They got access to all my videos or whatever, if
they don't have to go to encyclopedia like we did.
Like we had to go find a book and be like, wait, Nick.
There's his picture.
So they're able to go and they can see what I used to do, right, whatever in my past, and they're always very curious and they ask questions. Some ask more than others, and I'm always willing to talk about. Not that I love talking about myself, but I'm down if it's going to help my kids or help anybody in any kind of way, right? Capacity,
right.
Or they just want to hear about it, right? They ask a lot about it, but to most of, I think I'm just Coach Barnett. Right? They didn't grow up watching me play. They might have played some Madden every once in a while and threw me on a throwback team or something like that. But yeah, it's a different experience. My older kids, when I was coaching about maybe 7 years ago, I had more people that saw me playing.
Okay.
I was coaching some high school kids and doing some linebacker training. They kind of, I know you, Coach Barnett. I seen you play. They talk about games and certain,
Gotcha.
Playoff games, stuff like that. So it's a little different now that we're a little bit removed from, a lot removed from when I was playing. Let's just say.
So we got about a minute left. And again, thank you so much for the time. It's always great to sit and chat with you. And I could sit here and just talk football with you probably for hours and hours. But for people who are seeing this business spotlight, for people who, the light has gone on thinking, I want my kid with that guy and his team, I want them at Praxis. What's the best way to reach out? What's the best way to find out?
First of all, just go to our website, praxiselite.com.
Okay.
You'll get all the information there. Our email addresses are there. The enrollment portal's there. And if you need to find us on Instagram, Praxis Elite.
Okay.
So we would love to answer any questions that parents have, our kids may have. Our enrollment's getting close to, you either going to your other school or you're going to have, it's time to make that choice here.
Sure.
So a lot of people, are uninformed of how long they can wait till it. But we're here to inform you. Anything you need that you want to ask about our school or just micro schooling and school choice in general, let us know.
Can people come and take tours, and can they visit or shadow, things like that?
Absolutely. We have shadow days for kids. That's where you'll reach out and we'll talk. We'll guide you through the whole process. We want you to come and see if that's the kind of school you want to go to before you go.
Gotcha. PraxisElite.com is the website. This is their co-founder, Nick Barnett, a good friend of us here on the Business Spotlight. Nick, always great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Oh my God!
It is the big fish. And if you say anything bad about it,
do we know any Brothers Gibbs? Any BGs? So I've got breaking news today. Final study completed for Cingulate's lead asset, CTX 1301. Of course, Cingulate, publicly traded company under the stock symbol CING. Of course, Shane Schaffer, a good friend of the program, chairman and CEO of Cingulate, Cingulate.com, dealing with ADHD. Thank you.
Good.
Shane, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
Very good. Don't forget. I mean, you know who we are.
Hey, listen, I'm his first compassionate case they come out with. Hey, can you talk, before we get into, for some of the people that don't know who you are and the company is, but there's an awful lot of people that are tuning in because they knew you were going to be on the air tonight. Talk about the fact that no serious adverse effects reported on your final study completed for CTX 1301. That is a big deal. This is a huge milestone for you guys as a biotech company. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, number one, just being completed with all of our clinical trial work. I mean, we've been in constant communication with the FDA for the last 5-6 years, about our clinical trial program. This is the final study, and it's now over. We have the capital in place to get us all the way through this year, to get the NDA submitted and filed. We'll have a lot of inflection points and milestones. But one of the things you said, Sully, is really important here. We've now had over nine clinical trials. And in every single one of those trials, we had either no or fewer side effects than any other product that's been on the market.
And Shane, as a reminder, the other products are things like first thing comes to mind was Cialis, probably not the right one. Different drug. Side effects.
That was initially a side effect, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But we're talking about the Adderalls of the world, the Vyvances of the world, and so on and so forth. And this is for the people who are listening for the first time. You've come up with a drug that is, or working on a drug and going through FDA clearance and so on and so forth, that treats ADHD, what used to be called hyperactivity disorder, or ADD, now called attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And there's only been a few drugs that you could use, but it's basically a stimulant, which doesn't make any sense to the rest of us until you start thinking about the science, because the stimulant is basically would stimulate you, and you think the last thing someone with ADHD needs is stimulation, but apparently it affects the frontal lobe. But you have a time release sort of method here, as we're seeing, where you've got a coating that releases one part of the drug, and then a second part of the drug. And the reason being, Shane, I'll let you talk about it, because that's been the biggest problem with ADHD drugs, is because you got to keep taking them. There's no way to monitor it. Take over on that for a minute for me.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two classes of medications used for ADHD. 90+% uses what's called stimulants. The other part uses non-stimulants. Let's think of non-stimulants as your third or fourth or fifth choice, because that's really what it is. It's you can't tolerate the stimulants. But now back to the stimulant class. They've been used for over 70 years. And the FDA has never rejected a stimulant for the treatment of ADHD. And we're preparing to submit our NDA, which is a new drug application, in just a matter of months. So major inflection point for our company. But when you look back at the treatment history of this, they call them stimulants because if you don't have ADHD, you're going to get stimulated. But if you have ADHD, what it does is it normalizes your brain and puts you in a much better perspective for to deal with your daily activities.
I want to interrupt here. I want to read from this press release because it goes with what you're saying here. Because you are in development of the first true once daily stimulant medication that treats ADHD over an entire day. And what's critical is it doesn't matter what your food intake is or anything else. There's nothing affecting it. This works regardless, or at least that's what the early tests indicate, correct?
Well, so we did a study a couple years ago with our 25 milligram dose, which is the mid dose. Now 50 is our highest dose. And by the way, it'll be the highest available dosage form anywhere in the world of a methylphenidate-based preparation. So this is a huge clinical and commercial advantage. So it'd be the highest dose that an adult, let's say, that has severe ADHD could actually utilize to cover their entire active day. So we want to get you from home to homework, breakfast to dinner, revelry to taps, your active day. No one has ever done that before. Not only do we accomplish that because we now timed 3 specific doses at the right time of the day in 3 specific ratios. We're not giving you the same dose 3 times because that doesn't make sense. We're giving you the right amount at the right time and in the right style. We pulse when we need to, and we give you a sustained release when that's the more appropriate way to deliver your ADHD meds. And we have 8 dosage strengths across the entire spectrum of the disorder. So for the first time, physicians, providers, nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, they're going to finally have the ability to give patients with ADHD one tablet, lasts the entire active day, has a lower side effect profile than anything we've seen before in ADHD, and it has an effect size 3 to 4 times greater than the so-called best products that ADHD has been used, that has been treating ADHD patients for the last 50 years. It's truly groundbreaking work.
Shane Schaffer, the chairman and CEO of Cingulate, their ticker symbol, CING, also a Kansas City Chiefs loser, joining us here once again on the Big Bill Show.
The best record in football, though.
Yeah, whatever.
When are the Raiders playoff game? I love you.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry, buddy.
He fired back, and I wasn't expecting.
I love it.
Let's get back to the subject at hand, please. Shane, I want to talk about, because I know I've talked to you briefly about my daughter and her being diagnosed with ADHD. So in kids, is it the same? Cingulate can also be used for children, right? Or she's not even a child anymore.
We'll be seeking approval in ages 6 and older.
Okay.
So that's the typical approval. So, if there's a small percentage of patients below the age of 6 that do get treated, that's typically really severe cases of ADHD. We'll be seeking approval in 6 and older, which is pretty much every product's label on the market.
And then
doctors can always make a decision to use it earlier.
And then you take it in the morning, early morning, I'm assuming, because then it releases throughout the day, right? Just one tablet, as you were saying, the 3 times daily, it's just automatically releasing. And
go ahead. When you wake up, take it right away. Exactly. When you wake up, take it right away, and it's going to deliver 3 specific doses at time 0, 3 hours later, and 7 hours after you took the tablet. They're giving you a perfect day.
Hey, Shane, I got an email from last time you were on from a guy by the name of Ted Jenkins. I don't know where he's from but he asked a question about whether this is a drug. Is this more about drug delivery or more about medicine or both?
It's a new product, but it is drug delivery. So our PTR platform, Precision Time Release, really, it's a very innovative platform. For the first time in clinicians, in the ability of ADHDs, is a tablet giving you the ability to deliver 2, 3, 4, up to 5 of the same or different drugs in one little tablet. Now, what we're doing in ADHD, and that's why we developed this delivery technology, was to make sure we're delivering the right drug at the right time, in the right place, in the right style. We're going to utilize it in insomnia. We're going to utilize it in anxiety. We're going to utilize it in movement disorders, in oral oncology medications, in antivirals. We're going to utilize this drug delivery platform across the board. Right now, we're going to solve the ADHD problem, a $22 billion a year category in the U.S. alone.
He is one of our favorites, the chairman, CEO of Cingulate, their ticker symbol, CING. He is Shane Schaffer. Shane, always great, my friend. And in all seriousness, good luck to you and the Chiefs.
Thanks, buddy.
In the NFL playoffs. We'll see you out here in a couple of weeks, pal. All right,
See you next week.
Favorite guys.
More at the Big Biz Show after this.